Close your eyes for a moment. Breathe slowly. Right now, in this very second, your brain is capable of something extraordinary. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff that doesn't exist, yet your feet feel the solid ground beneath them. Imagine flying through a sky painted in colors you've never seen, fully aware that you are dreaming, yet unable to wake. This is not fantasy. This is not science fiction whispered in the dark. This is lucid dreaming, and it lives within the biology of your brain, waiting to be discovered. Have you ever wondered what happens in that strange moment, when sleep begins to fade and consciousness refuses to let go? When your mind becomes aware that it is dreaming, something remarkable unfolds. You are not hallucinating. You are not losing touch with reality. Instead, your brain enters a state of profound awareness that most people never experience. Your body lies still on your bed, completely paralyzed by the natural mechanisms of sleep, yet your mind soars free, conscious, intentional, and boundless. For centuries, this phenomenon lived in the realm of mythology and spiritual practice. Ancient cultures spoke of lucid dreaming as a sacred gift, a doorway to hidden knowledge. Yet today, neuroscience has revealed what was once mysterious. Brain imaging, sleep studies, and careful observation have shown us that lucid dreaming is not mystical. It is biological. It is real. It is reproducible. And it is waiting for you to understand it. The threshold between worlds is where we stand now. And this is the moment when sleep and wakefulness blur into something neither fully one nor the other. When you enter a lucid dream, your consciousness does not disappear. Instead, it transforms. You become aware within the dream itself. You can shape what happens next. You can fly. You can create. You can solve problems that have haunted you for weeks. You can access parts of your creativity that daylight consciousness keeps hidden behind walls of logic and fear. This experience is not rare. Research suggests that many people have experienced at least one lucid dream in their lifetime, often by accident, a fleeting moment of awareness before slipping back into ordinary dreaming. Some people experience them regularly. Others have learned techniques to induce them deliberately, turning sleep into a canvas for exploration and growth. Before we journey deeper into this landscape, I want to invite you to be part of this experience. Subscribe to the Relaxing Science channel, give this video a like, and share your location and the time where you are right now. This simple act connects us across the world, reminds us that we are all here together, exploring the same mysteries of consciousness and sleep. Your presence matters. Your curiosity feeds this exploration. What we will discover together over the next hours is how your brain accomplishes this feat. We will explore the specific regions of your brain that remain active during lucid dreaming while other areas fall silent. We will understand the prefrontal cortex, that part of your mind responsible for self-awareness and decision-making, and how it maintains its presence even as your body surrenders to sleep. We will learn why some nights your dreams feel vivid and controllable, while other nights they slip away like water through your fingers. Beyond the neuroscience, we will explore the practical techniques that scientists have discovered to help you induce lucid dreams deliberately. These are not magical rituals. They are grounded in how your brain works, how your sleep cycles function, and how consciousness operates during different stages of sleep. Some techniques are simple. Others require patience and practice. All of them work with your brain's natural tendencies rather than against them. But the true power of lucid dreaming extends far beyond the wonder of flying through impossible skies. Lucid dreams are tools for transformation. Artists and musicians have used them to unlock creative solutions. Therapists have guided patients through lucid dreams to overcome fears and trauma. Athletes have practiced skills in lucid dreams and found their waking performance improved. Problem solvers have carried questions into their dreams and woken with answers they could not find during daylight hours. Your mind during a lucid dream is not diminished or confused. It is heightened. It is free from the constraints of physical reality, yet still capable of logical thought, creative exploration, and intentional action. In this state, you can test ideas without consequence. You can face challenges in a safe space where failure teaches without harm. You can meet yourself in ways that daylight consciousness rarely permits. The journey we are beginning together is one of self-discovery through science. It is an invitation to understand your own brain more deeply, to recognize capabilities you already possess, but may never have consciously accessed. It is a path toward greater creativity, deeper problem-solving, and a richer relationship with the night hours that occupy nearly a third of your life. Sleep is not simply the absence of wakefulness. It is not a void where nothing happens. Sleep is an active process, a time when your brain continues its work in different ways. Dreams are not random noise. They are meaningful expressions of your mind's processing, your emotions, your memories, your hopes. And lucid dreams are the moment when you step into that process consciously, becoming not just a passenger, but a navigator. As we move forward, I encourage you to listen with an open mind. You may find yourself curious about trying some of these techniques yourself. You may discover that lucid dreaming is something you have experienced before but never named. Or you may simply find comfort in understanding that your brain is far more capable than you realized. All of these responses are welcome here. The night is calling. The threshold between worlds awaits. Let us cross it together, understanding not just what happens in your brain during lucid dreams, but why this capacity exists, what it means, and how it can serve your growth and transformation. The adventure begins now. Your brain is far more complex than you might imagine. As we explored in our first journey together, lucid dreaming is not fantasy. It is a measurable, observable state that neuroscientists have documented thousands of times in laboratories around the world. Now we dive deeper into the architecture of your mind during this extraordinary experience. When you become lucid in a dream, something remarkable happens inside your skull. Your brain does not simply fall asleep and wake up. Instead, it exists in a hybrid state. Parts of your brain remain in deep sleep mode, while other regions activate as if you were fully conscious. This is the secret. This is what makes lucid dreaming possible. The prefrontal cortex is your key player here. This is the region behind your forehead, the part of your brain responsible for self-awareness, decision-making, and reflection. During normal dreaming, this area goes quiet. Your logical mind takes a break. You accept impossible things without question. A building floats. You breathe underwater. Your childhood home has infinite rooms. Your prefrontal cortex does not question any of this. But during lucid dreaming, your prefrontal cortex wakes up. Scientists have measured this using electroencephalography, or EEG, which records electrical activity across your scalp. When someone becomes lucid in a dream, the EEG shows a specific pattern. The brain produces what researchers call gamma waves. These are high-frequency oscillations that indicate heightened conscious activity. Your prefrontal cortex fires with intention. It does not dominate completely, but it becomes present. It whispers to you. It asks the question that changes everything. Am I dreaming? This activation is selective. This is crucial to understand. Your visual cortex remains engaged, which is why you still see the dream world in vivid color and detail. Your emotional centers continue their work, so you feel sensations and responses. But your critical thinking regions, your doubt centers, your reality-checking systems all activate together. You become aware while remaining immersed in the dream landscape. Research from institutions across Europe and North America has shown that lucid dreamers display unique patterns in a region called the anterior prefrontal cortex. This area specifically handles metacognition, which is simply thinking about your own thinking. It is awareness of awareness. When you become lucid, this region shows increased connectivity with other brain areas. Your brain literally creates new communication pathways. Information flows between regions that normally work in isolation during sleep. The anterior insula also plays a role. This deep brain structure processes self-reflection and bodily awareness. During lucid dreams, this region shows heightened activation. You become aware of your body lying in bed, even though you are experiencing a vivid dream environment. You know you are safe. You know you are sleeping. This knowledge coexists with the dream experience. Your brain holds both truths simultaneously. Think of it this way. Normally, your brain operates like a single spotlight on a dark stage. During regular dreaming, that light shines only on the dream narrative. You are fully immersed. During lucidity, the spotlight expands. It illuminates both the dream and your awareness of the dream. The stage and the audience both become visible at once. Neurotransmitters also shift during lucid dreaming. Acetylcholine, a chemical messenger that promotes learning and memory, increases significantly. Norepinephrine, which enhances attention and alertness, rises as well. Meanwhile, serotonin and noradrenaline levels drop slightly compared to waking states, which is why you maintain the calm, accepting quality of sleep even as your awareness sharpens. Your brain chemistry creates a unique cocktail. It is neither fully awake nor fully asleep. It is something in between. The posterior cortical hot zone is another important player. This network includes regions involved in visual imagery and spatial awareness. During lucid dreams, this area shows patterns that resemble both sleeping and waking states. Your brain is literally bridging two worlds. It is creating a conscious experience within the dream framework. You can navigate, observe, and interact while remaining asleep. Functional magnetic resonance imaging, or fMRI, has revealed something even more fascinating. During lucid dreams, the brain shows increased activity in areas associated with self-reflection compared to non-lucid dreams. The anterior prefrontal cortex and medial prefrontal cortex light up. These regions are normally quiet during sleep. Their activation is the neurological signature of lucidity. When researchers see these patterns, they know the dreamer has become aware. This awareness, however, does not feel like waking up. This is important. Lucid dreamers do not experience a jolt back to consciousness. Instead, they describe a gradual dawning, a gentle realization. The dream remains vivid and engaging, but suddenly you understand what is happening. You recognize the dream rules. You realize you can influence events. You can fly, you can transform, you can create. The balance between brain regions during lucidity is delicate. If your prefrontal cortex activates too much, you wake up completely. The dream dissolves. If it does not activate enough, you lose lucidity and return to ordinary dreaming. Your brain must find the perfect equilibrium. This is why lucid dreaming feels like walking a thin line between two worlds. You are maintaining a specific neurological state that most people never experience. Scientists have also discovered that lucid dreamers show different patterns of brain connectivity even when awake. Their brains seem trained for this hybrid state. Regular lucid dreamers display stronger connections between the prefrontal cortex and other brain regions. Their neural networks are more flexible. Their brains can more easily shift into the lucid state because the pathways are well established. This is the Neuroscience Foundation. Your brain is capable of extraordinary things. It can maintain consciousness while your body sleeps. It can process information at multiple levels simultaneously. It can question reality from within a dream. This is not magic. It is biology. It is physics. It is the remarkable capacity of your nervous system. As we move forward, you will see how these neurological mechanisms can be deliberately cultivated. Your brain can learn this skill. You can train it to achieve lucidity more frequently and with greater stability. The science is clear. The potential is real. Your brain follows a rhythm as ancient as the tides. Every night it moves through cycles, each one deeper than the last, each one carrying you further from the waking world. Understanding this rhythm is the key to unlocking lucidity within your dreams. When you first close your eyes, your brain begins its descent. The journey takes roughly 90 minutes to complete. During this time, your mind passes through different stages, each with its own signature. Light sleep comes first, a gentle transition where you remain close to consciousness. Your muscles relax, your breathing deepens, and your brain waves slow from the rapid patterns of wakefulness into something more rhythmic, more measured. Then comes deeper sleep. Your brain waves continue to slow, becoming larger and more powerful. This is the stage where your body repairs itself, where memories begin to consolidate, where growth happens in silence. Your eyes remain still beneath closed lids. The world outside fades completely. You are somewhere else now, somewhere deeper. But the night does not end there. After perhaps 40 minutes in these deeper stages, something shifts. Your brain begins to wake itself up, not all the way, but partially. Your eyes start to move rapidly beneath your eyelids. This is REM sleep, the stage where dreams live most vividly. REM stands for rapid eye movement, and it is here that the magic happens. REM sleep is where lucidity becomes possible. During this stage, your brain returns to patterns similar to wakefulness. Your prefrontal cortex, which we explored before, becomes more active. Your amygdala, the emotional center, becomes less dominant. This creates an opening, a window where consciousness can slip through while your body remains asleep and paralyzed. The first REM period of the night lasts only a few minutes, but as the night continues, something remarkable occurs. Each cycle that follows grows longer. The second REM period might last 15 minutes. The third could stretch to 20. By the time you reach the final cycles before waking, REM sleep can occupy 30 minutes or more. This is why lucid dreams happen most often in the late hours of sleep, in those final cycles before dawn. Your brain is not random in this design. This architecture serves a purpose. The early night focuses on physical restoration, on deep sleep where your body heals. The later night belongs to the mind, to dreams, to memory processing. By the time you reach these final cycles, your brain has already completed much of its physical maintenance work. It can afford to create this hybrid state, this place where consciousness and dreaming coexist. Think of it like layers of an ocean. The surface is wakefulness, bright and active. As you descend through the first sleep cycles, you sink deeper, where pressure increases and light fades. This is deep sleep, the darkest part of the ocean. But then, something unexpected happens. You begin to rise again, the pressure eases, light returns. This is REM sleep, and it rises closer and closer to the surface as the night progresses. The brain waves during REM sleep tell this story. Using an EEG machine, scientists can see these waves in real time. During deep sleep, the waves are slow and powerful, like ocean swells. During REM sleep, the waves become faster and more irregular, resembling the pattern of wakefulness. This similarity is not accidental. Your brain is literally returning to a waking-like state while your body remains asleep. But there is more complexity here. Within REM sleep itself, there are variations. Early REM periods are shorter and less intense. Later REM periods are longer and more vivid. The dreams themselves become more narrative, more complex, more emotionally rich. Your brain is also releasing different neurotransmitters in these later cycles. Norepinephrine, a chemical that keeps you alert during waking, is almost completely absent during normal REM sleep. But during lucid dreams, something changes. Your brain finds a way to introduce awareness back into the dream while maintaining the neurochemical environment of sleep. This is the biological window that makes lucidity possible. It is not a flaw in the system. It is not an accident. It is a feature built into your neurology. Your brain has the capacity to create this state, and it does so naturally, even if you are not aware of it. Some people slip into lucidity spontaneously. Others never notice. But the capacity is there, waiting in those final sleep cycles, waiting for you to learn how to recognize it. The rhythm continues every night. Your brain cycles through these stages automatically, guided by circadian rhythms and sleep pressure. Melatonin guides you down into sleep. Your body temperature drops, your heart rate slows. Then, in the darkness, the cycles begin. Deep sleep, then REM. Deep sleep, then REM. Each cycle lasting longer than the last, each REM period bringing you closer to the surface, closer to that threshold where dreams and consciousness can meet. This is not something you need to force. Your brain already does this. All you need to do is learn to recognize when you are in this window. Learn to notice the signs. Learn to understand that this rhythm exists and that the final cycles of your sleep are specifically designed to allow consciousness to persist within dreams. As you rest tonight, know that your brain is following this ancient pattern. It is descending and rising, cycling through stages, moving toward those final hours where lucidity becomes possible. The architecture is in place. The biology is ready. Now, we turn to the next piece of the puzzle. We explore how your mind learns to question itself, to recognize the dream state, to awaken within the dream. Your mind possesses an extraordinary ability that most people never discover. Within the dream state, buried beneath layers of automatic thought, lies a mechanism for recognition. This is the moment when the dreaming consciousness begins to question itself. to wonder if what it experiences is real or imagined. This questioning is not random. It is the first spark of lucidity. Think of your brain as a vast city with countless streets and intersections. Most of the time, you walk these streets without questioning their existence. You accept them as real simply because they are there. But what if, while walking, you paused and asked, "Am I truly here?" This simple question becomes a gateway. During ordinary dreams, your brain operates in a particular mode. The regions responsible for critical thinking remain quiet. The prefrontal cortex, which we explored earlier, stays largely offline. Your mind accepts every impossible scenario as fact. You can fly without wings. You can breathe underwater. You can speak to people who have been gone for years. None of this triggers alarm in your sleeping consciousness. Yet something remarkable happens when you train your mind to recognize patterns. When you practice questioning reality while awake, you create neural pathways. These pathways are like grooves worn into a hillside by repeated footsteps. The more you walk the same path, the deeper the groove becomes. Eventually, your feet naturally follow that path without conscious effort. This is where reality checks enter the picture. A reality check is a simple practice performed throughout your day. You might look at your hands and ask yourself, "Am I dreaming?" You might try to push your finger through your palm. You might read text twice and notice if it changes. These seem like trivial exercises, but they rewire something fundamental in your brain. When you perform reality checks consistently, you establish a habit loop. Your brain begins to expect this question at regular intervals. This expectation does not vanish when you sleep. Instead, it carries forward into your dreams. And when you perform a reality check within a dream, something shifts. The answer might be different. Your finger might pass through your palm. The text might transform into symbols you cannot read. In that moment, recognition arrives. The psychology of doubt within dreams is fascinating. Doubt requires a particular neural state. It requires the ability to hold two contradictory ideas simultaneously. You must believe you are in a normal place, while questioning whether that place is real. This cognitive flexibility activates regions of your brain that typically remain dormant during sleep. The anterior prefrontal cortex awakens. The anterior cingulate cortex, which monitors conflict between competing ideas, begins to fire. This is not the full awakening of your brain. It is something more subtle. It is a partial activation, a dimmer switch turned halfway up rather than a light switched fully on. This partial state is precisely what allows lucidity to flourish. If your brain fully awakened, you would open your eyes and the dream would dissolve. If it remained fully asleep, you would never question reality. The sweet spot lies between these extremes. Consider what happens in your brain during this moment of recognition. The default mode network, which typically dominates during sleep, begins to share control with executive networks. Metacognition emerges, which is the ability to think about your own thinking. You become aware that you are aware. This recursive consciousness, this mirror reflecting itself, is the essence of lucidity. The preparation of consciousness to recognize the dream state begins long before sleep arrives. It starts with intention. When you decide that you will recognize your dreams, you set a cognitive priority. Your brain assigns resources to this goal. Throughout the day, you remain alert to signs and patterns. You notice when reality feels slightly off. You catch yourself in moments of confusion and ask whether you might be dreaming. This vigilance during waking hours creates a bias in your sleeping mind. Your brain carries forward this priority into sleep. The question, "Am I dreaming?" becomes more likely to arise spontaneously. It becomes a thought that your sleeping mind naturally generates, much like a familiar song that plays in your head without conscious effort. There is also a neurochemical dimension to this recognition. The neurotransmitter acetylcholine, which we touched upon earlier, plays a crucial role. During REM sleep, acetylcholine levels rise while norepinephrine levels drop. This chemical cocktail creates vivid hallucinations, but also reduces critical thinking. However, when you have trained your mind through reality checks and intention, you create a counterbalance. Your brain becomes more sensitive to inconsistencies despite the neurochemical environment that normally suppresses such awareness. The first spark of lucidity often feels subtle. You might simply notice something odd. A person's face keeps changing. Gravity feels different. Colors seem too vivid or too muted. These small anomalies trigger the question, and once the question arises, once doubt enters the dream, recognition can follow. This recognition is not always dramatic. You do not necessarily experience a sudden jolt of awareness. Instead, you might gradually realize that you are dreaming. The realization might feel like slowly surfacing from water, becoming aware of the air around you before fully breaking the surface. Or it might feel like a light gradually brightening in a dark room. What matters is that this process is trainable. Your brain can learn to recognize dreams. This is not a gift reserved for a select few. This is a capacity that exists within the architecture of human consciousness. Through consistent practice, through the cultivation of doubt and questioning, through the creation of neural pathways that carry your waking curiosity into sleep, you can teach your mind to recognize the dream state. The journey from automatic dreaming to lucid dreaming is a journey of recognition. It is the moment when your consciousness stops accepting the dream as reality and begins to question. And this questioning, this doubt, this simple act of asking, "Am I dreaming?" becomes the key that unlocks a new dimension of your mind. Your consciousness exists on a spectrum. It is not binary. You are not simply awake or asleep. Between these two states lies a threshold so delicate, so rich with possibility, that ancient cultures called it sacred ground. This is the hypnagogic state, the moment when your body surrenders to sleep while your mind remains partially aware. It is here, in this twilight space, that lucid dreaming naturally emerges. Think of it like standing at the edge of a river. Your feet still touch the shore. The current pulls gently around your ankles. You can feel both the solid ground and the flowing water. You belong to neither world completely. You exist in both simultaneously. Neuroscientifically, this transition is profound. Your brain does not switch off like a light. It shifts. The sensory cortex begins to quiet. The visual processing centers start to dream. Yet your prefrontal cortex, the seat of self-awareness, has not fully surrendered. It hovers in a state of partial activation. This is where lucidity awakens most naturally. During the day, your consciousness requires constant sensory input. Your eyes feed images. Your ears capture sound. Your skin registers temperature and touch. This external data streams into your brain every millisecond, keeping you anchored in waking reality. Your prefrontal cortex uses this information to maintain the illusion of a continuous, unified self. But as you drift towards sleep, this sensory input diminishes. Your eyes close. External stimuli fade. The prefrontal cortex begins to power down. Most people lose consciousness entirely at this point. The awareness simply blinks out. Yet some people remain present. They feel the transition happening. They notice the shift. This is the hypnagogic state, and it is trainable. Imagine lying in bed after a full day. Your body is heavy. Your muscles relax progressively. Your breathing deepens. Normally, you would drift into unconsciousness within minutes. But now you practice something different. You maintain a thin thread of awareness. You observe your own mind shifting into dream mode. Your thoughts begin to fragment. Images appear without logic. A face morphs into a landscape. A conversation becomes abstract color. Your rational mind would normally reject these images as nonsense, but your rational mind is sleeping. You, the observer, remain. You watch the dream being born. This is the threshold. This is where control becomes possible. The neuroscience here is elegant. Your brain maintains two simultaneous states. The default mode network, which usually quiets during focused tasks, becomes active. This network generates the narrative flow of dreams. Simultaneously, your metacognitive circuits, the parts that observe your own thinking, remain partially engaged. You are both the dreamer and the witness. This dual activation is rare during normal sleep. It is the signature of the hypnagogic state. But here is what makes this powerful. You can train yourself to stabilize this state. You can extend it. You can learn to maintain awareness through the sleep threshold without losing consciousness or jolting back to full wakefulness. The technique is counterintuitive. It requires relaxation without sleep, alertness without tension, Many people try to force awareness into sleep. They grip their consciousness, trying to hold it like water in a clenched fist. The water escapes. The effort itself triggers the arousal system, pulling them back to wakefulness. They fail. The skilled approach is different. You relax completely. You surrender your body entirely. You let your physical self fall asleep, but you maintain a gossamer thin thread of mental observation. You do not try to stay awake. You allow yourself to drift. You simply refuse to lose the observer. This is the paradox of the hypnagogic state. You must be both relaxed and aware, both surrendered and present, both asleep and awake. As you drift deeper, you will notice specific markers. Your thoughts become increasingly visual. Language dissolves. Your sense of your body fades. The room around you seems to disappear. These are signs that you are crossing the threshold. At this point, many people experience hypnagogic imagery, geometric patterns, faces, landscapes. These are not hallucinations. They are your visual cortex beginning to dream. They are the first manifestations of REM sleep activity, the beginning of dream generation. Here is the crucial moment. You observe these images without reacting. You do not grab onto them. You do not push them away. You watch them flow past like clouds. Your prefrontal cortex remains engaged, noting their presence, but not interfering. If you can maintain this state for several minutes, something shifts. Your body becomes completely paralyzed. This is sleep paralysis, the natural state during REM sleep, when your brain disconnects motor signals to prevent you from acting out dreams, but you are aware of it. You feel the paralysis. You remain conscious through it. This is the gateway. From this state, you can directly enter a lucid dream. You do not lose consciousness. You do not jolt awake. You simply transition. The dream environment solidifies around you. You are already aware. You are already lucid. The neurological mechanism is now clear. Your prefrontal cortex has remained partially active throughout this transition. Your metacognitive awareness has never fully surrendered. When the dream environment fully engages, you bring this awareness with you. You are conscious inside the dream. This is different from the reality checks and intention setting you practiced before. This is not about recognizing you are dreaming after the dream has begun. This is about maintaining continuous awareness through the sleep threshold itself. This is about never losing consciousness at all. The hypnagogic state is a skill. Like any skill, it develops with practice. Your brain learns to stabilize this delicate balance. Neural pathways strengthen. The transition becomes smoother. Your ability to maintain awareness during this threshold improves progressively. Some nights you will feel yourself slipping. Your awareness will fade. You will lose the thread and fall into unconscious sleep. This is normal. Your brain is learning a new pattern. Each attempt teaches your nervous system something. Each practice session refines the skill. Other nights you will cross the threshold consciously. You will feel the shift. You will remain present. And from that presence, lucidity emerges naturally, effortlessly, as if you had simply walked from one room into another while remaining yourself throughout the journey. This is the bridge between sleeping and waking. This is where the magic lives, not in force or effort, but in the delicate art of being present in the space between two worlds. You have learned how consciousness can slip into dreams. You have discovered the threshold where awareness persists. Now we arrive at something equally profound. The reason you forget almost everything the moment you wake. Memory is not a simple recording. It is a living process. Right now, as you sleep, your brain is making choices about what matters and what dissolves into silence. This selective forgetting is not a failure. It is architecture. When you wake naturally from a dream, you have perhaps 10 seconds before the entire narrative evaporates. The images fade like morning mist. The emotions scatter. Within minutes, nothing remains but a vague sensation that something happened. This is not accident. This is neuroscience. During REM sleep, your brain produces less norepinephrine. This chemical messenger is responsible for encoding memories into long-term storage. Without it, dreams remain fluid and ephemeral. They exist in a state between memory and imagination. This is why you cannot recall most of your dreams. Your brain is not designed to remember them. But here is the profound truth. Lucid dreaming requires breaking this pattern. It requires memory. When you become lucid in a dream, something shifts. Your prefrontal cortex, which we discussed earlier, begins to activate more fully. This activation includes the neural systems responsible for memory formation. Suddenly, the dream becomes recordable. It becomes real to your mind in a way that ordinary dreams are not. This is why dream recall is the foundation of lucid dreaming practice. Not because you need to remember dreams for their own sake, but because remembering trains your brain to recognize the dream state while it is happening. Memory and awareness are intertwined. Think of it this way. Every morning when you forget your dreams, you are teaching your brain that dreams are not important. You are reinforcing neural pathways that say, this content is temporary, release it immediately. But when you commit to remembering, you send a different signal. You tell your brain, this matters. Pay attention. Encode this. This is intention at the neurological level. The most effective technique for strengthening dream recall is deceptively simple. Upon waking, before moving, before opening your eyes fully, remain still. Stay in the liminal space between sleep and waking. Ask yourself silently, what was I just experiencing? Do not force the answer, simply invite it. In this stillness, fragments return. A color, a feeling, a face. These are not complete dreams, but they are threads. Follow them gently. Your brain recognizes that you are valuing this information. Over days and weeks, this practice rewires your memory systems. Dreams become easier to recall. They become more vivid. They become real enough to recognize. Some people keep dream journals. The act of writing reinforces encoding. Others simply speak their dreams aloud before they fade. The mechanism is identical. You are telling your neural networks, this is worth preserving. This is information I need. This is where intention becomes physical. Your conscious decision to remember dreams actually changes how your brain processes them. The prefrontal cortex, when engaged with this intention, sends signals downward into the hippocampus and other memory centers. It says, consolidate this, make it retrievable. Over time, something remarkable occurs. Your dreams become more stable, more detailed, more memorable. And as they become more memorable, they become more recognizable. The strange logic of dreams, which once seemed perfectly normal while you dreamed, suddenly appears strange, impossible, dreamlike. This is the moment lucidity emerges. But memory does more than create lucidity. It creates continuity. When you can remember your dreams, you begin to notice patterns, recurring symbols, familiar landscapes, people who appear again and again. These patterns are your mind speaking to itself. They are the deep narratives that your consciousness weaves when freed from the constraints of logic. Some neuroscientists believe that dreams serve a memory consolidation function. During sleep, your brain is not resting. It is working intensely, sorting through the day's experiences, deciding what to keep and what to discard. Dreams may be the subjective experience of this process, the story your consciousness tells itself while your brain reorganizes information. If this is true, then remembering dreams is remembering your own mind at work. It is witnessing the process of learning and growth happening invisibly within you. The relationship between intention and neural encoding is not mystical, it is measurable. When you intend to remember your dreams, your brain allocates more resources to memory formation during sleep. The prefrontal cortex maintains slightly higher activation. Neurotransmitter levels shift. Blood flow patterns change. Your intention literally reshapes your neural activity. This is why practitioners of lucid dreaming often report that their practice deepens over time. It is not that they become better at lucid dreaming. It is that they are training their entire memory system to prioritize dreams. They are teaching their brain that dreams matter, and as dreams matter more, they become more accessible, more vivid, more controllable. Right now, if you are listening to this before sleep, you can set this intention. Simply tell yourself, I will remember my dreams tonight. I will notice when I am dreaming. I will remain aware. Repeat this gently without force. Your brain will hear it. Your neural networks will adjust. And when you wake, stay still. Invite the memories back. This is not technique alone. This is rewiring your relationship with your own mind. You are saying to yourself, I value what happens in my dreams. I value the stories my consciousness creates. I value the freedom of my sleeping mind. Memory, then, is the bridge between the ordinary dream and the lucid dream. It is the thread that connects your waking self to your sleeping self. Without it, lucidity remains impossible. With it, lucidity becomes inevitable. The next part of our exploration moves into the territory where this lucidity becomes useful, where the freedom of the dream state becomes not just an experience, but a tool. Now that your mind has learned to remember dreams, something remarkable begins to unfold. The lucid dream becomes more than a mirror of consciousness. It transforms into a laboratory where your brain operates under entirely different rules. Imagine stepping into a space where physics bends to intention, where imagination has no friction, where a thought instantly becomes reality. This is not fantasy. This is neuroscience revealing what your brain can do when freed from the constraints of the waking world. When you become lucid in a dream, specific networks in your brain activate in ways that never happen during ordinary sleep or waking life. Your prefrontal cortex, which handles planning and decision-making, reawakens. Simultaneously, your visual cortex remains highly active, creating vivid imagery. Your motor cortex fires as if you are moving, yet your body stays still. These networks converge in a state neuroscientists call hyperassociativity. Hyperassociativity means your brain makes connections between distant ideas with remarkable ease. In waking life, your prefrontal cortex acts as a filter. It says no. It enforces logic. It reminds you of constraints. During a lucid dream, this filter loosens. Your brain can suddenly link concepts that seemed unrelated. A musician might hear a melody that bridges two genres never combined before. A scientist might visualize a solution that connects observations from completely separate fields. This is why lucid dreams have birthed genuine breakthroughs. The chemist Auguste Kekulé dreamed the structure of benzene as a snake biting its own tail, revealing the ring structure that eluded him while awake. The inventor Nikola Tesla used lucid visualization to design entire machines in his mind before building them. These were not coincidences. They were the brain's natural creative capacity unleashed. During waking problem solving, your mind works methodically. You gather information, you analyze, you test hypotheses. This is powerful, but it is also linear. Your consciousness moves step by step. In a lucid dream, your mind can hold multiple contradictory ideas simultaneously. It can shift perspectives instantly. It can visualize abstract concepts as tangible forms. A composer can hear an entire symphony unfold. A writer can experience a story from multiple viewpoints at once. The difference is profound. Waking creativity requires effort. You must push against resistance. You must silence doubt. You must maintain focus despite distractions. Lucid dream creativity flows. It emerges naturally. Your mind is not fighting against itself. The very architecture of your brain in this state favors synthesis over analysis, imagination over judgment. Consider how artists describe the experience. They often speak of a flow state where ideas arrive fully formed. During lucid dreams, this flow intensifies dramatically. Your brain is not constrained by the need to monitor your physical body. No part of your consciousness is dedicated to maintaining balance or sensing danger. All available neural resources concentrate on pure creativity. The freedom extends beyond imagination. In a lucid dream, you can practice skills without physical limitation. A dancer can move with impossible grace, exploring movements the body cannot yet execute. A speaker can rehearse presentations without anxiety, building confidence that transfers to waking performance. An athlete can visualize perfect execution repeatedly, strengthening the neural pathways that govern the movement itself. Neuroscience confirms this transfer. When you mentally rehearse an action in a lucid dream, your motor cortex activates similarly to actual physical practice. Your brain encodes the experience. The neural patterns strengthen. When you return to waking life and attempt the skill, your brain already knows the pathway. The movement feels more natural. The performance improves. This is not magic, it is how your brain learns most efficiently. It does not distinguish sharply between vivid mental experience and physical experience. Both create neural traces. Both strengthen synaptic connections. Lucid dreams simply offer a space where mental practice can be infinitely varied, endlessly repeated, and completely risk-free. The creative networks activated during lucidity extend beyond the prefrontal cortex. Your default mode network, usually quiet during focused tasks, remains engaged. This network connects disparate brain regions. It is the source of insight and intuition. Your temporal lobes, which process meaning and memory, work in concert with your visual systems. Your emotional centers remain active but not overwhelming. The result is a state uniquely suited to creative breakthrough. What makes this state even more valuable is the absence of judgment. Your inner critic, the voice that says an idea is impossible or ridiculous, quiets significantly during lucid dreams. You can explore wild concepts without the usual self-censorship. You can fail without consequence. You can try again instantly. This psychological freedom amplifies the neurological advantages. Many creators have learned to harness this deliberately. They maintain dream journals, cultivate lucidity, and then pose problems to their lucid mind. A novelist might enter a lucid dream asking, "What does my character truly desire?" and experience the answer as a vivid scene. A scientist might ask, "What am I missing?" and watch as the dream presents the overlooked connection. A musician might request a melody, and the dream delivers it complete. The brain responds to intention. Your prefrontal cortex, even in its partially awakened lucid state, still processes goals. When you set a clear intention before sleep, you prime your brain to work on that question during the night. The lucid dream becomes a directed exploration rather than random imagery. This is the creativity unleashed, not the romanticized notion of inspiration striking like lightning. Rather, the systematic activation of your brain's most powerful integrative networks, operating in a state where constraints dissolve and connections flow freely. Your mind in this space becomes a tool of remarkable sophistication. It can solve problems that resisted waking analysis. It can generate ideas that feel entirely novel. It can rehearse excellence. It can explore possibilities without limit. The next layer of this journey moves inward. Creativity transforms problems into possibilities. But what of the emotions that often block us? What of the fears that constrain our choices? The lucid dream offers something equally profound, a way to reshape how you feel. Now we arrive at something equally profound as creativity itself, the emotional landscape of lucid dreams. While your mind creates freely within the dream, your emotions remain powerful, sometimes overwhelming. Yet here lies a remarkable truth. Within lucidity, you gain access to something most people never experience in waking life, the ability to reshape how you feel in real time. Fear is the most common emotion that disrupts lucid dreams. A lucid dreamer finds themselves flying, feeling liberated, when suddenly doubt creeps in. The fear of falling arrives. The dream collapses. This is not weakness. This is neuroscience. Your amygdala, the brain's emotional alarm system, remains active during REM sleep. It processes threat signals even as your prefrontal cortex maintains awareness that you are dreaming. The difference between lucid and non-lucid dreams lies in this critical moment. When you are not lucid and fear appears, you are trapped. Your amygdala dominates. You cannot reason with it. But when you are lucid, you possess something extraordinary: conscious choice over your emotional response. This is not suppression. This is transformation. Research from sleep neuroscience shows that during lucid REM sleep, your ventromedial prefrontal cortex strengthens its connection to your amygdala. This is the same pathway involved in emotional regulation when you are awake. Your conscious mind can literally dial down the fear signal. You can acknowledge the fear without being controlled by it. You can say within the dream, "I am safe. This is my mind. I choose to continue." And then you do. The fear dissolves. The flight continues. This is not imagination. This is rewiring your brain's emotional architecture in real time. Nightmares offer a deeper application. A nightmare is a dream where your amygdala has hijacked the narrative. Fear spirals, threat multiplies, you wake in distress. But neuroscientists have discovered something transformative. Lucid dreamers can enter their nightmares consciously and reshape them. Not by running away, by facing them with awareness. When you become lucid within a nightmare, you can turn to face whatever pursues you. You can ask it what it represents. You can imagine it transforming. You can rewrite the ending. This sounds metaphorical, but it is neurological. Each time you do this, your brain learns that the threat is not real. Your amygdala receives corrective feedback. The nightmare loses its power. Over time, nightmares fade because your emotional memory system has been updated. This technique is called imagery rehearsal therapy within lucidity. It is used clinically for trauma and anxiety. The mechanism is straightforward. Your brain cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined emotional experience and a real one when you are dreaming. So when you face a nightmare lucidly and transform it, your amygdala processes this as genuine emotional mastery. You emerge from the dream with reduced fear responses in waking life. But emotional mastery extends beyond fear. Lucid dreams allow you to practice emotional resilience in any scenario. Imagine you struggle with social anxiety. Within a lucid dream, you can create a conversation with someone who intimidates you. You can practice responding calmly. You can rehearse confidence. Your insula, the brain region that processes emotional self-awareness, becomes more integrated with your prefrontal cortex. You develop emotional flexibility. The same applies to grief, shame, or anger. These emotions are not obstacles within lucidity. They are opportunities. You can explore them without judgment. You can ask yourself what they are protecting. You can dialogue with them. You can understand them more deeply than waking introspection often allows. Your brain is in a state of heightened self-reflection during REM sleep. Combined with lucidity, this becomes a form of emotional alchemy. I'd like to know, where are you listening from? And what time is it there? There is a subtle but essential principle here. Emotional mastery in lucid dreams does not mean eliminating difficult feelings. It means developing a different relationship with them. You learn that you are not your emotions. You are the awareness observing them. This distinction, repeated across many lucid dreams, creates lasting psychological change. The amygdala learns through repetition. Each lucid dream where you remain calm in the face of fear strengthens the neural pathways of emotional regulation. You are literally training your brain's threat detection system to be less reactive. This training transfers to waking life. People who practice emotional mastery in lucid dreams report reduced anxiety, better stress responses, and greater emotional flexibility when awake. There is also something quieter happening. As you practice emotional awareness in lucidity, you develop what neuroscientists call metacognition, the ability to think about your thinking, to feel about your feeling. This metacognitive skill becomes habitual. You carry it into waking life. You notice emotions arising without being swept away by them. You respond instead of react. This is why lucid dreaming has been studied as a therapeutic tool for depression and anxiety disorders. The practice trains your brain to recognize that emotional states are temporary, changeable, and navigable. Your brain learns that you have agency. This learning happens not through intellectual understanding, but through direct experience, night after night, in the realm where emotions are most vivid and malleable. The emotional mastery you develop in lucid dreams becomes a foundation for psychological resilience. You are not merely having pleasant dreams. You are rewiring your emotional nervous system. You are teaching your amygdala that you are safe, capable, and in control. These lessons, encoded during sleep, become part of who you are when you wake. You have learned how your mind transforms fear into courage within the dream. You have witnessed how emotions reshape themselves through conscious intention. Now comes the profound challenge that every lucid dreamer faces. The dream begins to slip away. It happens to everyone. You realize you are dreaming. The world sharpens. Colors become vivid. You feel the rush of awareness. And then within seconds or minutes, the dream dissolves like morning mist. The lucidity fades. You drift back into ordinary dreaming, or you wake entirely. This is not failure. This is the natural rhythm of your brain learning to sustain a new state of consciousness. Why does this happen? Your brain is performing an extraordinary balancing act. To dream lucidly, you need just enough activity in your prefrontal cortex to maintain awareness and reasoning. Yet you must remain in REM sleep, where that same region normally quiets down. It is like standing at the edge of two worlds, and your brain naturally pulls back toward one side or the other. Understanding this tension is the first step toward extending your lucid dreams. When you first become lucid in a dream, your brain surges with activity. Excitement floods through you. Your heart races with the realization of freedom. This emotional spike is actually what destabilizes the dream. The heightened arousal pushes you toward waking. Your nervous system interprets the intensity as a signal to wake up. This is why experienced lucid dreamers speak of remaining calm, of greeting lucidity with quiet recognition rather than exuberance. There is a technique called sensory anchoring that helps stabilize the dream once you become lucid. The principle is simple. You redirect your attention inward, toward the sensations within the dream itself. Instead of thinking about the fact that you are dreaming, you focus on what you are feeling. Touch the dream ground beneath your feet. Feel its texture. Notice the temperature of the air on your skin. Listen to the ambient sounds around you. These sensory details anchor your consciousness to the dream world itself, rather than letting it drift toward waking awareness. When you engage your senses this way, something remarkable happens in your brain. Your sensory cortex becomes more active than your evaluative mind. You are experiencing rather than analyzing. This shift prevents the destabilizing surge of metacognitive excitement. Your brain remains in REM sleep while maintaining just enough prefrontal engagement to keep you lucid. The dream stabilizes. Time stretches. What felt like it would last only seconds can now extend into minutes, sometimes much longer. Another powerful factor in maintaining lucid dreams is expectation. Your brain does not distinguish sharply between what you expect to happen and what actually happens within a dream. If you expect the dream to fade, it often does. If you expect it to persist, your brain creates the neurological conditions for persistence. This is not magical thinking. It is the brain's predictive nature at work. Your expectations shape neural activity. They influence the balance between REM sleep and waking consciousness. Before you enter a lucid dream, you can set an intention. Tell yourself, this dream will remain stable. I will remain lucid for as long as I wish. I will explore with calm awareness. These statements are not affirmations in the self-help sense. They are instructions to your brain about what to prioritize. Your brain takes these instructions seriously. It adjusts the neurochemistry of sleep to support your stated intention. This is why intention setting before sleep is so effective for lucid dreamers. Once you are lucid and the dream has stabilized, deepening your immersion becomes possible. This means moving beyond the simple recognition of lucidity into active engagement with the dream world. You might decide to explore a specific location. You might practice a skill. You might engage in conversation with a dream character. Each of these activities strengthens the coherence of the lucid dream. They give your brain a task, a direction, a purpose within the dream. This focus prevents the wandering attention that leads to lost lucidity. The neuroscience here is elegant. Your prefrontal cortex, which is essential for lucidity, also handles intentional focus and goal-directed behavior. By maintaining a clear intention within the dream, you keep this region engaged at just the right level. Not so much that you wake up, not so little that you lose lucidity. You find the balance point where consciousness and dreaming coexist. There is also a technique called reality stabilization. Within the lucid dream, you perform small actions designed to reinforce the sense of dream presence. You might spin in place, watching the dream world rotate around you. The spinning sensation anchors you to the dream body. You might rub your hands together, feeling the friction, the warmth, the texture. You might look at your hands and study them in detail. All of these actions serve the same purpose. They deepen your sensory engagement with the dream, making it more vivid, more stable, more resistant to fading. The duration of lucid dreams varies. Some people maintain lucidity for only a few minutes. Others report lucid dreams lasting 30 minutes or longer. The difference often comes down to practice and the techniques you employ. Each time you stabilize a lucid dream, your brain learns. Neural pathways strengthen. The next lucid dream becomes easier to maintain. Your brain becomes more skilled at sustaining this unusual state of consciousness. As you develop these stabilization skills, something shifts in your relationship with dreams. They become less like random nocturnal experiences and more like accessible spaces for exploration and growth. The dream is no longer something that happens to you. It becomes something you participate in consciously. This shift in agency, this sense of control within the dream, carries profound implications for how you engage with your own mind. Where are you listening from? What time is it there? I would like to know if you have ever felt that moment when a dream begins to slip away, that sensation of lucidity fading. There is a particular poignancy to that experience, is there not? It teaches us something about the fragility of consciousness itself and the effort required to sustain awareness across different states of being. Within your lucid dream, you stand at the edge of a vast landscape. Your feet touch solid ground, yet you know this ground exists only in your mind. You decide to leap. Your body rises. The world below grows smaller. You are flying. This is not imagination alone. Your brain is doing something extraordinary right now. When you become lucid in a dream, your motor cortex activates in a unique way. The regions that normally command your physical body remain relatively quiet, but the regions that plan movement, visualize trajectory, and anticipate sensation fire with intense precision. Your brain generates the complete experience of flight without a single muscle contracting. It creates wind resistance you cannot feel. It produces the sensation of height you cannot measure. It builds a world of physics that obeys your intention. This is the neuroscience of embodied dreaming. Your brain does not simply show you images on a screen. It simulates an entire reality where your body moves, transforms, and interacts with environments that never existed. Consider what happens when you decide to transform in a lucid dream. Perhaps you become a bird. Your visual cortex reconstructs your perspective from a new height. Your proprioceptive system, which normally senses your body's position in space, rewires itself completely. You feel wings where arms were. You sense balance differently. Your brain coordinates this transformation by temporarily suspending its usual reliance on actual sensory input, and instead running a simulation based purely on expectation and memory. The neuroscience reveals something profound. Your brain does not distinguish between a transformation you experience in a dream and one you might experience in waking life, at least not in the moment. The same neural networks activate, the same sensory predictions fire. The only difference is the source of the signal. In waking life, signals come from your eyes, your skin, your inner ear. In a lucid dream, signals come from your memory, your expectations, and your intention. This has practical implications that extend far beyond the dream itself. Athletes have long understood something that neuroscience now confirms. Mental rehearsal activates the same motor pathways as physical practice. A violinist who mentally rehearses a difficult passage in a lucid dream strengthens the same neural connections as one who practices with an instrument. The brain cannot easily distinguish between the two. Both create neural patterns. Both build skill. But lucid dreams offer something physical practice cannot. They offer perfect conditions. There is no fatigue. There is no fear of failure. There is no pain. Your brain can rehearse a movement thousands of times in a single night without the biological constraints that limit waking practice. A surgeon can rehearse a complex procedure. A dancer can perfect a sequence. A musician can master a passage, all without the wear on the body that physical repetition demands. The prefrontal cortex, which you strengthened through emotional regulation in your earlier lucid dreams, now becomes your director. It guides the simulation. It sets parameters. It allows you to fail safely and try again instantly. This creates a learning environment of extraordinary efficiency. Now imagine something deeper. In a lucid dream, you can create scenarios that do not exist in waking life. You can practice a conversation with someone you fear. You can rehearse a public speech before an audience of thousands. You can navigate a social situation that makes you anxious. Your brain, through this safe simulation, builds neural patterns of confidence and competence. When you encounter the real situation, your brain has already rehearsed the response. The pathway is already there. This is not wishful thinking. Brain imaging shows that mental rehearsal in lucid dreams activates the same regions as actual experience. The insula, which processes bodily sensations, lights up. The motor cortex engages. The emotional centers calibrate. Your brain is learning through simulation. The creative applications extend even further. A composer can hear an entire symphony in a lucid dream, composed by their own mind, and awaken to transcribe it. A writer can walk through scenes of a story, experiencing them as a character would, gathering sensory details that no waking imagination could conjure alone. An architect can inhabit a building before it exists, moving through spaces, understanding how light falls, how people will feel. Your brain, in lucidity, becomes both creator and experiencer. It is the artist and the audience simultaneously. This dual awareness is what makes lucid dreams so powerful for creative breakthroughs. You are not observing your creation from outside. You are inside it, you are living it. Yet there is a subtle challenge here. The more vivid your lucid dream becomes, the more your brain commits to the simulation, the more it risks losing the thread of lucidity itself. This is why stabilization, which you learned in the previous exploration, remains essential. Stabilization is not merely about keeping the dream stable. It is about maintaining the balance between immersion and awareness. You must be fully present in the dream while remaining conscious that you are dreaming. This balance is what allows mastery. A lucid dreamer who loses lucidity becomes a regular dreamer, losing the intentional control that makes rehearsal and creation possible. A lucid dreamer who maintains too much detachment, too much waking awareness, cannot fully engage with the simulation. The sweet point is presence without possession, immersion without illusion. Your brain achieves this through a specific neural dance. The prefrontal cortex maintains its executive function, watching, directing. The limbic system and sensory cortices fully engage, creating richness and sensation. The two systems communicate, creating a state that neuroscience is only beginning to map completely. This is where practical application becomes transformative. Every skill you rehearse in a lucid dream strengthens your waking capability. Every scenario you navigate in lucidity builds confidence for waking situations. Every creative vision you explore in dreams becomes a seed for waking innovation. The brain does not separate the learning, it integrates it. Neural pathways built in lucid dreams become part of your permanent skill set. You are not just dreaming, you are training, you are creating, you are becoming. As you move deeper into understanding lucid dreams, consider this. What skill would you like to rehearse? What creative vision calls to you? What scenario would you like to master? Your brain is already capable of building these pathways. Your lucid dreams are the laboratory where transformation begins. Now we arrive at something profound. Your brain has shown us it can rehearse, create, and transform within lucid dreams. But there exists another dimension to this phenomenon, one that touches the deepest wounds we carry. Imagine a mind trapped in a loop. A sound triggers panic, a memory surfaces unbidden, a nightmare returns night after night, pulling you from sleep into a state of raw fear. This is not imagination. This is neuroscience playing out in real time, and it affects millions of people who have experienced trauma. Here is where lucid dreaming becomes something more than a tool for creativity or skill development. It becomes a healing space. When trauma occurs, your brain encodes the experience in a particular way. The amygdala, that ancient alarm system we discussed earlier, records the threat with extraordinary clarity. But it records it without context, without resolution. The prefrontal cortex, your rational mind, struggles to integrate what happened. The result is a fragmented memory that can be triggered suddenly, violently, without warning. This fragmentation is why trauma survivors often experience intrusive thoughts and nightmares. The brain is trying to process something it cannot yet understand. The nightmare repeats because the system remains unresolved, searching for a way to make sense of what occurred. Neuroscience reveals something fascinating here. In a lucid dream, you possess something trauma survivors rarely have in their waking life: complete control. You are aware, you are present, and you are safe. When someone becomes lucid within a nightmare, something shifts in the brain. The prefrontal cortex activates more strongly. The amygdala's grip loosens slightly. You can turn to face what frightened you. You can speak to it. You can change it. You can choose a different ending. This is not positive thinking, this is not denial, this is genuine neural reorganization. Research in neuroscience shows that when trauma survivors practice confronting their fears within lucid dreams, the brain begins to rewire its threat response. The amygdala receives new information. The prefrontal cortex strengthens its connection to the emotional centers. Over time, the trigger loses its power. The nightmare transforms or fades entirely. Consider anxiety. Anxiety lives in anticipation. It is your brain imagining futures that have not happened, running threat simulations that may never occur. In a lucid dream, you can practice these feared scenarios in a space where you cannot be harmed. You can fail safely. You can face the worst imagining and discover you survive it. This rehearsal, conducted in the dream space, teaches your nervous system something crucial. The threat you fear is manageable. Your brain learns this at a deeper level than conscious reassurance can reach. The amygdala receives the message not through words, but through direct experience. For those who carry PTSD, lucid dreaming offers a particular gift. Post-traumatic stress disorder is, in many ways, a disorder of memory. The traumatic memory is frozen in time, unable to integrate with your broader life narrative. In a lucid dream, you can revisit the memory with your full conscious awareness present. You can add context. You can remember that you survived. You can remember who you are now, not just who you were in that moment. Some neuroscientists compare this to a form of exposure therapy conducted entirely within your own mind. The difference is profound. You are in control. You are not re-traumatized by an external therapist or situation. You move at your own pace. You choose when to engage and when to rest. The bridge between psychology and neurobiology becomes clear here. Psychology speaks of processing trauma, of integration, of healing. Neurobiology shows us the mechanism, the rewiring of connections between the amygdala and prefrontal cortex, the consolidation of new memory traces, the gradual reduction of threat reactivity. Both are describing the same phenomenon from different angles. Recurring nightmares, too, respond to this approach. A nightmare that returns night after night represents a loop in your neural system. The brain is stuck in a pattern, but in lucidity, you can interrupt that pattern. You can change the narrative. You can introduce resolution where there was only repetition. What makes this particularly elegant from a neuroscience perspective is that the healing occurs through the same neural systems that created the wound. The amygdala, which encoded the trauma, can encode new information. The prefrontal cortex, which failed to contextualize the threat, can now integrate it. The hippocampus, which stores memory, can create new traces that transform the old ones. Your brain is not being forced to heal through external intervention alone. Your brain is healing itself, using its own remarkable capacity for change. This is neuroplasticity in its most profound application, not learning a new skill, not rehearsing a performance, but literally rewiring the neural pathways that underlie psychological suffering. As you rest now, consider this. If your mind can transform nightmares into healing experiences, if it can teach your nervous system safety through lucid exploration, what other possibilities might exist within the space between sleep and waking? What other dimensions of your consciousness remain to be discovered? The journey continues. You are moving deeper into understanding not just how lucid dreams work, but why they matter so profoundly for your well-being and transformation. You have learned how your mind heals itself through lucid dreams. Now comes something equally profound: the moment you wake. What happens next determines whether your dream insights fade like morning mist or crystallize into lasting change. Every night, your brain performs an invisible alchemy. While you sleep, memories are not simply stored. They are reorganized, refined, and woven into the fabric of who you are. This process is called memory consolidation, and it is the bridge between your dreaming mind and your waking life. When you experience something in a lucid dream, whether you flew, solved a problem, or faced a fear, your brain records it with the same neural intensity as a waking experience. The motor cortex fires, the sensory regions activate, the emotional centers respond. But here is the remarkable part. Upon waking, your brain does not discard this memory as mere fantasy. Instead, it treats it as valuable information. Consider a musician who practices a difficult passage in a lucid dream. The motor cortex strengthens the same neural pathways that would strengthen through physical practice. When she wakes and sits at her instrument, her fingers remember. The dream was not separate from reality. It was preparation. This is not metaphor. Brain imaging shows that insights gained during lucid dreaming activate the same learning networks that activate when you solve a problem while awake. The prefrontal cortex, your center for planning and decision-making, remains engaged. The hippocampus, which binds memory to meaning, records the experience. When morning arrives, these neural pathways persist, but integration requires something more than passive recall. It requires intentional reflection. Scientists have discovered that the transition from sleep to waking is a delicate window. In those first moments after you open your eyes, your brain is unusually receptive. The default mode network, that vast system of interconnected regions that handles self-reflection and meaning-making, is particularly active during this threshold. This is why many people report that their most creative insights emerge not during the dream itself, but in the moment of waking. The dream fades, yet something crystallizes. A solution appears, a perspective shifts. This is your brain consolidating the dream experience into usable knowledge. To harness this transition, consider keeping a journal by your bed, not to record every dream in exhaustive detail, but to capture the essence. What did you discover? What feeling lingers? What problem did you approach differently? Writing these observations within minutes of waking strengthens the neural pathways that connect dreaming insight to waking understanding. Your hippocampus bonds the memory more firmly. Your prefrontal cortex integrates the learning. The science is clear. People who reflect on their dreams show measurable improvements in creative problem solving compared to those who do not. This is not because dreams contain magical answers. It is because the dream state accesses neural networks differently than waking thought. In dreams, your brain makes associations that waking logic might suppress. It explores possibilities without the constraints of immediate reality. When you reflect on these explorations upon waking, you bring them into conscious awareness where they can be applied. Consider the architect who struggled with a building design. In a lucid dream, she walked through the structure, experiencing it from impossible angles, watching light move through spaces that have not yet been built. She could not physically construct these angles while awake, but in the dream, her spatial reasoning centers were fully engaged. Upon waking, she sketched what she remembered. The design shifted. Problems she had not consciously recognized suddenly became obvious. The dream had shown her what her waking mind could not yet see. This is integration at its most practical. The dream becomes a laboratory. Waking life becomes the application. The neuroscience of this process involves something called systems consolidation. During sleep, particularly during REM sleep when most lucid dreams occur, your brain transfers information from the hippocampus, which holds recent memories, to the cortex where long-term knowledge is stored. This is not instantaneous. It unfolds across multiple sleep cycles. But each time you reflect on a lucid dream experience, you accelerate this process. You strengthen the neural pathways that bind the dream memory to your broader knowledge. What makes this remarkable is that the same consolidation process occurs whether the experience was physical or mental. Your brain does not distinguish. A lucid dream where you practiced a difficult conversation activates the same language and social reasoning networks as a real conversation. Upon waking, these networks remain strengthened. You are genuinely more prepared for the real conversation. This extends beyond skills into emotional wisdom. A person who worked through anxiety in a lucid dream, who faced the source of fear and moved through it, wakes with a neurologically altered threat response. The amygdala remains less reactive. The prefrontal cortex maintains stronger regulation. Days later, when a similar anxiety-triggering situation arises in waking life, the brain responds differently, not because the person consciously remembers the dream, but because the neural pathways have been reorganized. The continuity between sleeping and waking mind is not a boundary. It is a conversation. Your waking mind sets intentions before sleep. Your dreaming mind explores those intentions in ways waking thought cannot. Your waking mind, upon awakening, integrates what the dreaming mind discovered. Then the cycle continues. This is why lucid dreaming is not an escape from real life. It is a deepening of it. Every insight you gain in the dream landscape becomes part of who you are. Every problem you approach differently in a lucid dream changes how you approach it while awake. The two minds are not separate. They are aspects of one continuous consciousness, each offering what the other cannot. As you move deeper into lucid dreaming practice, notice what transfers, what insights persist after waking, what changes in your perspective, what problems resolve. These observations are not sentimental. They are evidence of real neural integration, of your brain learning and growing across the threshold between sleep and waking. The dream world is not separate from your life. It is woven into it, and that weaving happens in the moments after you wake. There exists a profound tension at the heart of lucid dreaming. The more you chase control, the more it slips away like water through open fingers. This paradox has puzzled both ancient practitioners and modern neuroscientists alike. Understanding it transforms not only your dream practice, but your relationship with consciousness itself. When you enter a lucid dream with rigid intention, with the demand that everything must bend to your will, something unexpected happens. The dream collapses. Your awareness shatters. You wake suddenly, frustrated, the lucidity dissolving like morning mist. This is not failure. This is your brain teaching you something essential about the nature of consciousness and surrender. The neuroscience reveals why. Your brain operates through competing networks. The default mode network, that vast web of interconnected regions that fires when you rest and reflect, creates the dream's narrative flow. It weaves stories, generates emotions, builds worlds. But when you demand control with force, you activate your dorsolateral prefrontal cortex too intensely. This executive region, responsible for planning and willpower, essentially silences the very networks that allow dreaming to continue. It is like trying to hold water in a clenched fist. The tighter you grip, the faster it escapes. The masters of lucid dreaming across cultures discovered this truth long before brain imaging existed. Tibetan Buddhist practitioners speak of the view, a gentle awareness that observes without grasping. Hindu texts describe a state where the dreamer knows they dream yet does not interfere with the dream's unfolding. Indigenous cultures speak of dreaming with the land rather than commanding it. These were not poetic metaphors. They were precise descriptions of optimal neural balance. Modern research now confirms this wisdom. Studies using electroencephalography during lucid dreams show that the most stable, longest-lasting lucid dreams occur when there is a delicate equilibrium. Your brain maintains frontal awareness, you know you are dreaming, while allowing the default mode network to continue its creative work. The two systems communicate gently, like dancers who lead and follow in perfect rhythm. When you release the need to control every detail, something remarkable emerges. The dream becomes more vivid, more stable, more responsive. You can still direct your attention. You can still make choices. But these choices arise from a different place. They come from intention rather than force, from curiosity rather than demand, from invitation rather than command. This distinction matters profoundly. When you approach a lucid dream with the question, "What wants to happen here?" rather than "What will I make happen?" your brain enters a state of open receptivity. The anterior cingulate cortex, which monitors for conflict and error, relaxes. Your insula, which processes bodily sensation and emotional awareness, becomes more active. You feel more present, more alive, more genuinely conscious within the dream. The paradox deepens when you consider this. True control emerges only through surrender. When you stop fighting against the dream's natural momentum, you discover that you can influence it far more effectively. A lucid dreamer who gently suggests to the dream that the sky become purple will see it shift. A dreamer who demands it with force will wake. The difference is subtle but absolute. This mirrors something profound about consciousness itself. Throughout your waking life, you operate under the illusion of total control. You believe your executive mind commands your body, your emotions, your perceptions. But neuroscience reveals a different truth. Your conscious will is more like a rider on a vast, intelligent horse. The horse, your unconscious processes, your autonomic nervous system, your emotional brain, does most of the actual work. The rider's job is not to seize the reins with white knuckles, but to communicate clearly with a partner far more capable than itself. In lucid dreams, this partnership becomes visible. You meet your unconscious mind as a collaborator rather than an adversary. Your default mode network is not an obstacle to overcome, but a creative genius to work with. Your emotions are not distractions, but sources of wisdom. Your body, even though it lies paralyzed in bed, pulses with vivid sensation through your brain's simulation. The most advanced lucid dreamers report something unexpected. After years of practice, after mastering techniques and achieving stable lucidity, they stop trying to control the dream at all. Instead, they enter a state of pure observation. They become witnesses to their own mind's creativity. They watch as the dream generates impossible landscapes, impossible beings, impossible physics. And in that witnessing, they discover something that control could never provide: genuine awe. This is where the neuroscience touches philosophy. Your default mode network, when allowed to operate freely, is not just generating random imagery. It is exploring possibility space. It is asking questions your conscious mind has not yet formulated. It is solving problems through lateral thinking, making creative connections, revealing truths about yourself that your executive mind has kept carefully hidden. The balance point then is this: maintain awareness without interference. Know that you are dreaming without insisting on what the dream should be. Set a gentle intention before sleep, not a demand but an invitation. Then within the dream, observe, notice, respond. Allow yourself to be surprised. This is the paradox resolved. Control and surrender are not opposites. They are partners in a dance. The moment you understand this, your lucid dreams transform. They become not arenas for your will to dominate, but stages where your consciousness can truly play, explore, and discover itself. You are approaching the threshold now. The journey through your dreaming mind has brought you here, to this understanding. One final frontier awaits. As you rest tonight, something extraordinary awaits you. Not in the world beyond your walls, but in the infinite space between sleep and waking. Throughout this journey, we have explored how your brain transforms consciousness itself. We have watched how intention meets surrender, how trauma finds healing, how dreams speak to waking life. Now we arrive at the deepest question of all: what is consciousness, and where does it truly live? Lucid dreaming is not merely a skill to master. It is a gateway, a doorway into the most mysterious frontier that science has yet to fully understand. Your brain, this 3-pound universe of electricity and chemistry, holds secrets that physicists and philosophers have pondered for centuries. When you become lucid in a dream, something shifts. Your awareness turns inward and outward simultaneously. You observe yourself observing. You witness your own mind creating entire worlds, complete with physics, emotions, and logic that feel absolutely real in the moment. Think of it this way. Every night your brain performs an act of creation so profound that if you saw it in a laboratory, you might mistake it for magic. It generates sensory experiences without external input. It builds narratives with characters who seem independent, yet emerge from your own neural networks. It creates emotion, movement, color, sound, and meaning, all from within. And most nights you accept this as reality without question. But when lucidity arrives, something awakens. The observer becomes aware of itself. This is the frontier that remains mysterious even as neuroscience advances. We can map which brain regions activate during lucid dreaming. We can measure the bridge between your default mode network and your executive control centers. We can identify the precise moment when your prefrontal cortex gains awareness during REM sleep. Yet, the deepest question lingers. How does awareness arise? What transforms a collection of neurons firing in patterns into the felt sense of being conscious, of knowing that you know? Science gives us tools. It shows us that your brain contains roughly 86 billion neurons, each making thousands of connections. During a lucid dream, these connections reorganize in ways that allow you to be both participant and observer. Your amygdala quiets, releasing fear. Your prefrontal cortex awakens, bringing clarity. The default mode network and task-positive network dance together in balance. But knowing this does not fully explain the mystery. It is like describing the chemistry of paint and canvas without capturing what it means to see a masterpiece. This is where the infinite frontier begins. Lucid dreaming invites you to become a scientist of your own consciousness. Every night you sleep, you have access to a laboratory that no external researcher can fully enter. Only you can experience your dreams from within. Only you can feel the quality of lucidity as it blooms. Only you can discover what your mind is truly capable of creating when given freedom and awareness. Throughout this exploration, we have learned that control is not force. Healing comes through witnessing, not fighting. Integration happens when you allow the dream and waking worlds to converse as equals. Your brain is not a machine to be dominated. It is a partner in consciousness, and lucid dreaming teaches you this partnership more clearly than any other experience available to you. Consider what you have already accomplished. You have learned that your brain can maintain multiple states of awareness simultaneously. You have discovered that trauma can be gently rewired through conscious engagement within dreams. You have experienced how insights from sleep transform your waking life through the simple act of reflection and integration. You have understood that surrender is more powerful than force. These are not small realizations. These are doorways into a deeper understanding of what it means to be human. The infinite frontier is not somewhere distant. It is not in space or time. It exists in the space between your thoughts. It lives in the moment when you become aware that you are dreaming. It unfolds in every night you dedicate to exploring your own inner universe. And it expands with each dream you remember, each insight you integrate, each moment you choose curiosity over control. Science will continue to advance. New technologies will allow us to see deeper into the brain's secrets. Researchers will map more precisely how consciousness arises and flows. But there will always remain a mystery. There will always be something that cannot be fully captured in data or equations. This is not a failure of science, it is the beauty of consciousness itself. It is the reminder that you are not merely a biological machine, but something more subtle and profound. As you prepare to sleep tonight, consider this. Your brain is about to create an entire universe. It will generate experiences that feel completely real. It will weave narratives, emotions, and sensations from the invisible dance of your neurons. And if you approach sleep with gentle intention, with curiosity rather than force, you may find yourself awake within that universe. You may discover that you can explore it consciously. You may learn something about yourself that changes how you see both dreams and waking life. The frontier awaits, not as a destination to reach, but as an invitation to explore. Your consciousness is the most intimate mystery you will ever encounter. Lucid dreaming is one of the most direct ways to meet it, face to face. Thank you for joining me on this complete journey through the neuroscience and poetry of lucid dreaming. From the first moment you wondered if control was possible, through the healing of trauma, the integration of dreams into waking life, and finally to this understanding of consciousness itself. If this experience has brought you peace, curiosity, or a new sense of wonder about your own mind, I would deeply appreciate a like and subscription to Relaxing Science. Your support allows us to continue creating content that honors both the science and the mystery of human consciousness. Before you drift into sleep, share with us. What will you explore in your next lucid dream? What question will you ask your own mind? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let us know where you are listening from and what time it is in your world. Your presence here, your engagement, your curiosity, these are what make this community alive. May your sleep be restful, may your dreams be vivid, and may you always approach the infinite frontier of your own consciousness with wonder, gentleness, and an open heart. The mystery continues. The exploration never truly ends. Welcome back whenever you are ready to journey inward once more.